Utah Jazz completely gut their team after a tough loss in the playoffs this year. But the main question kind of here is, what did they all get back in return, and was it really worth it? So in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about, as well as kind of going through what steps it took for them to get to this point where they decided to completely rip apart the team that they had built that was pretty strong together, at least in the regular season. Now, if you enjoyed this content, please hit me with a like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me, and I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I cannot do that without your guys' help, but let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get right into this. How the Utah Jazz completely flipped their roster in just one offseason. Now, the Jazz have found some pretty consistent regular season success over the past few years, having a top 6 team in the regular season in the West through the past 6 years. Now, even with their great regular season performances, the Jazz could never really get it done in the playoffs. The farthest the Utah Jazz ever made it was the second round, and they were only ever positive in the playoffs in 2020-21 season, where they went 6-5. Every other year they had a negative win-loss record in the playoffs. Last year, after another year of struggles, we saw some more drama transpire within the organization about Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell's ability to work together, and they would end up deciding to blow it all up. Not only that, but we also saw Quinn Snyder resign as the head coach, which could have been a thing that was talked about within the organization. They said they were going to fire him. He decided to resign. We're not quite sure the full implications of that. But early in the year, they end up shipping Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves. And just a couple weeks back, we end up seeing Donovan Mitchell traded to the Cavs. But the question kind of is, how much did they really get back in return, and was it worth it for the Utah Jazz? So first, let's kind of start with, what did the Utah Jazz give up? Now, as we all know, they end up shipping Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves. They also move Royce O'Neal to the Nets. Patrick Beverley, who was within the Rudy Gobert trade, goes to the Lakers. And as we all just saw pretty recently here, Donovan Mitchell was moved to the Cavs. The next question, though, is, in total, what did the Jazz all receive? And it is quite a lot, and that's why I think it's important to kind of look over it in a video, because as these things come out separately, we kind of forget how big some of these trades prior were, and just when you look at it in total at the end, it's absolutely insane to look at. So we're going to be going through who they got in return, what trade it was connected in, and just go through piece by piece. So first off, Rudy Gobert was the first trade, and they would receive from the Timberwolves for the Rudy Gobert trade Malik Beasley, Leandro Bolmaro, Jared Vanderbilt, Walker Kessler, who was the 22nd overall pick this year, a 2023 first, a 2025 first, a 2026 first round swap, a 2027 first, a 2029 first, and all of that for Rudy Gobert. But it doesn't end there. In the Royce O'Neal trade, they would receive a 2023 first. In the Patrick Beverley trade, after receiving him from the Timberwolves in the Rudy Gobert trade, they would ship him off to the Lakers and receive Talen Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson. And after this most recent trade from Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs, they also bring in Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, I'm so bad with names, I apologize, a 2025 first, a 2026 swap, a 2027 first, a 2028 swap, and a 2029 first. Oh, that was a lot. Now, not only do you bring in some solid pieces of players that could honestly make an impact for this team, such as Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen, who could make an immediate impact on the starters. The fact is, all of these draft picks is absolutely insane, and I think the funniest part is, I don't know if the Jazz are really that far out of competing again. Now, what does the Jazz roster kind of look like now? I think is something really important to take a look at. So for the point guard position, we have Mike Conley, who is still on the team and reported to potentially be moved in a later trade, but still on the team. We have Mike Conley and Colin Sexton. Not sure who will start there. I kind of have a feeling it will be Sexton, as he's a little bit younger, and it seems like that's what this team is moving towards. At shooting guard, you still have Jordan Clarkson, who was looking very good and right below an all-star level, as well as Malik Beasley and Talen Horton-Tucker, a young guy from the Lakers, who a lot of people were trying to, shift in some larger trades just a year prior. I remember as a Bulls fan seeing people saying Talon Horn-Tucker and a couple picks for Zach LaVine, and the fact that he was just moved for almost nothing in the most recent trade, kind of funny to look at now. At small forward, you have Bojan Bogdanovic and Ochai Agbaji. Power forward, you have Lauri Markkanen and Jared Vanderbilt. And at center, you have Walker Kessler and Rudy Gay. My apologies. Lots of young guys there that honestly have quite a bit of talent. And the question now is, how does the Jazz's future look like? Now, the long-term future of the Jazz looks very bright with all of these picks, but with how the West looks, it's possible the Jazz could still make the playoffs this year. And I know that might sound a little bit preposterous, but last year the Pelicans made it into the playoffs, not just the play-in, but into the playoffs with only 36 wins. The Jazz, with a young core and plenty of veterans, could very likely reach a number very similar to that, and with a little bit of luck in the play-in, could make it into the playoffs even after trading away all of these massive pieces. Even with the Jazz having the ability to reach the playoffs next year, their biggest star is going to be coming through the draft in the coming years. With a young core including Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler, the team has a huge stockpile of picks on top of that. The Jazz have 3 first-round picks next year, as well as 3 in 2025, 3 in 2027, and 3 in 2029. In total, the Jazz have 14 first-round picks through the next 7 drafts. OKC, who, as we all talk about, has an insane stockpile of first-round draft picks, only has 1 more at 15 in that same time frame. So, something that has been occurring, the Oklahoma City Thunder stockpiling drafts for years, from the Paul George trade to the Russell Westbrook trade and all of these smaller trades that have kind of occurred along the way. They have brought together 15 first-round draft picks. And the Utah Jazz, with only 4 trades in one offseason, brought in only 1 less than the Oklahoma City Thunder have stockpiled over all of these years. And that's absolutely insane to think about, because as we kind of take a look at the OKC City Thunder, it seems like they've been slowly building something that can kind of work together. We have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We have a guy last year in Josh Giddey that just looked amazing. And this year they also bring in some more talent. And the fact is, they still have so many more draft picks, which only makes you wonder, can the Utah Jazz bring together something similar? And with the Utah Jazz being a smaller market, their best bet in building a strong core and being a contending team again is going to be through the draft. With 14 picks in the next 7 years, that's something that they can start working through. And not only that is it 14 picks in the next 7 years, but that's only first rounders. So they still have some second round picks through that same time period, and maybe somewhere around that 20 pick mark in 7 years. We're talking in, it is quite a bit of ways from now, but you could completely flip your roster into a bunch of young guys, and by that point, only be re-signing a few of those guys and still be in a pretty solid cap situation. So overall, I think the Utah Jazz did a very good job this offseason at looking at the pieces that they did have, analyzing, realizing that maybe this team isn't going to be contending for a championship, and using those pieces to completely flip their team, as well as keeping them in a solid situation where they can be a playoff contender. But what do you guys think? Were these trades all wins by Utah, which truly I do believe, and do you think that the Utah Jazz can make the playoffs this year? Please comment that all down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a like and subscribe. It truly means the world to me. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I cannot do that with your guys' help. But as always, I hope it taught something today. Hope it made you smile. Hope it made you laugh. That's something that's really important to me. It affects someone else's day in a great way, because every single day can be a great day if we all just put in the effort. And as always, you guys all be safe out there.
But something deep inside won't let me quit. I swear